Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Last week, Rob Helm was here. Called that one Water, Water Everywhere. All I got to say about this whole project is, when you do construction in an older home, get ready because things pop up all the time. And it's just so fortunate to have somebody like a Rob Helm, Quality Vision Construction, is our DIY kind of expert contractor, general contractor, and many other things, come in and just, because he gives you the straight story, and we're all about saving money. So that's the name of that game. So if you missed that one, please go check that out. Rob's been on the show a few times, been doing a bunch of work for us, and we just talk about this project he's working on now. We will revisit down the road because it's a huge project and we barely touched on it. All right, today, my brother from another mother, another one, Doug Resseguie. And this guy's a true brother from another mother. Avid outdoorsman, loves hunting, fishing, camping, being outdoors. Hunter, non-hunter, still trying to get me to go out in the woods with him. I don't know if that's going to happen. Bachelor's Science in Organizational Development, MBA in Strategic Leadership. Smart dude. And almost at the top of the mountain for his doctoral, his PhD in organizational leadership. He's married, father of 5 children. I got my walking orders here from my man. My guest is running the show here because he knows this topic so well. We are not going to play. We're going to get down to business here. Doug, how are you, brother? Let's roll.
I'm doing well, Tom. I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm it's nice to see you, and it's a nice picture you got behind you there for those that are watching the video. For those on radio, sorry about that, but you can always go check out the YouTube.
Yeah, it's a sunset picture. I was fly fishing last weekend, and it has a picture of me. Somebody took it. I didn't realize they took it, but they sent it to me, and I'm like, oh, well, that's
sweet.
Cool. Thanks. It was a beautiful sunset, and I was laying some topwater baits out. It was super calm, and the fish were really active, so it was fun.
Cool, man. Well, we're going to call this one Sharing Outdoor Traditions. As everyone knows, or unless you're new to the program, hunter non-hunter is one of my favorite topics to have on, just because it's different and it's something that I learn every time, especially when Doug's here because he's so thorough. All right, first thing, Doug, we got to do the quickie family thing. You know the drill. 12th time on the show, even dozen for you. Go ahead, man. Set us up. Tell us about the grandchildren, your wife, everybody. Go for it.
Yeah, the family's doing well. Denise is here teaching in the Lansing area. Amber is teaching in the Detroit area. Nicholas is also working in this in the school systems now, and Bethany is also working here on campus. So the family's all gainfully employed, doing well. Angela has been doing really well. So. Not a lot of new things other than just trying to continue to experience life with that grandbaby. So Veronica is quite a handful, and she is that might be what inspires my topic because she is in wonder of everything outdoors, leaves and anything she's experiencing. She likes to be outside, and so just her wonder at everything. Looking at things, it's all new to her because she's only been on the planet for a couple of years, and so it's just really fun to see that. But so family's doing well, I'm doing well.
That transfer of knowledge to the kids, Doug, you're perfect for that kind of stuff, and congratulations on your progress with your PhD. Probably the next time we have you on, maybe before that, you'll be done. And we could talk. We'll do a whole show once Doug gets his PhD complete. Everybody, we'll bring Doug back for a continuing education kind of, life beyond your adulthood with education or something like that. We'll talk about all that. But dude, I'm so proud of you and all this time and work you put into it's wonderful. So I'm proud of you, man.
Well, I'm going to pause you for a second because you have been a good friend for some time, and I appreciate, and there's no way I would have been able to do some of the things I've been challenged with over the last number of years without friends and support network, because you are not going to do something like this by yourself. It's not a solo journey. It's a team journey. You need good people to support you, especially when you hit the wall, you fall down, you're not sure if you want to get back up. You need people that are positive, that tell you positivity zone things. So you have been in my corner for positivity, and I appreciate that. So you will be one of the people I'll call out in my dedication, as well as many other people who supported me. So I got to finish it, then I'll write it, then you can officially be in the book.
Awesome, man. Well, now that you just gave me a perfect segue into the team journey of higher ed, let's talk about sharing outdoor traditions, because it's really about the family, and it's about, and this is, I know where you want to go with this, and we got a lot to talk about. So go ahead, start your topic, because I'm very interested to hear you. You're going to talk a lot during this episode. And
well, we're going to have a conversation, which means I'm not doing a narration. And part of this, if you didn't read your notes well, you're going to have a personal anecdote in here. But the reason I said fall tradition, or the reason I said outdoor traditions, is that fall is one of the most beautiful times of the year in Michigan. I mean, it's a beautiful state, has a lot of water, but fall showcases the colors, the climate, the bugs go away. It's just an enjoyable time of the year before we get to frigidity and winter, but there's a need for that season. But if you think about it, fall is wrapped up in so many different ways. There's traditions. People have outdoor activities that they do, tailgating for their favorite sports team, or they may have Thanksgiving, or they may have, you've got things going on in the fall that are very family-based, very group-based. If you do hunting, if you do fishing, if you do canning, a lot of people I know right now this time of year are canning and putting away the stores from all the fruits and the vegetables and things that they picked in their garden. I mean, there's just a lot of group-based activities. And so I really thought about that is how those experiences create lasting memories. And what I thought was really interesting, I was talking, all my children have hunted and have gone through hunter safety, and they've gone in the field with me, both hunting and fishing. But it's interesting what they take away now that they're adults and what they miss. And one of my children, I will leave them nameless because they may or may not want me to say that today, but they said, I really want to come up with deer camp, but I just don't really want to do the deer thing, but I want to be there for the camp because I like playing cards. I like the food. I like the visiting. Like, I want to see people, and I don't know if I want to hunt this year. I'm like, that's totally cool. I mean, I'd be really happy to have you at deer camp because it really is another tradition. I mean, it's a tradition in a lot of families where they have different activities they get together for. And so I started thinking about that. And what's really interesting is how you encode or how you store memories, because memories are multimodal. And many people have experienced different times. Either you walk in somewhere and you hear a song playing and it reminds you of something you haven't thought of for many years, because your brain has a way of keeping that information. We sometimes struggle calling what we want to remember up, but it's there. It might be that you walk into a place and smell a candle burning or somebody cooking something and it reminds you of your grandmother or you might remember something. Most of those memories are positive, but some of them can be negative. And so we want to think about that. But the reason I say that is because the antidote I wanted to get to is, you mentioned it as your lead into the show, and you've done it time and time and time again. Why would you not want to come outdoors with me when I know you do outdoor things? So what is it? And share a little bit about what it is that you remember that makes you a little maybe hesitant to want to go do an outdoor activity.
Well, I'm going to hold that answer because we're coming up on break here, and I will make sure that I know you will circle back and why. My quick answer to that question that Doug just posed to me, Doug Resseguie is our guest today. We're sharing outdoor traditions, hunter, non-hunter, is the cold. I'm not a cold person. I don't like the wet. I don't like being cold. I don't like the dirt. And it's like I'm a pansy. And so that, in a short answer, that's the answer. So let me reset this thing because we are definitely going to go to break here. Doug Resseguie's here, sharing outdoor traditions. Stick with us on this because there's always good laughs with, kind of self-deprecating with Tom. But Doug is a phenomenal resource for us when it comes to the hunter, non-hunter topic. This is the Tom Matt Show.
This segment of the Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by the Source of Light and Power by band leader Archival and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Second segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Craig Stiles, Ameriprise Financial, taking care of all of our retirement zone savings. If you're getting close to retirement, remember what I say about retirement. Two different paths. You can do two different things. It's choices. Everything's about choices in life. Choose your retirement, great. Choose your retirement, great. Whatever you're going to do. I've decided that I'm going to retire, and that's what we've been doing, and we're going to stay busy, and every new thing that we do is all about retiring, but you got to have your money in the right place, and Craig with Desideri Analytics is doing it the right way for us. Please call him at 1-800-528-1355. You can hit us up, too. You can hit the website, tommattshow.com, and send us a note there. His other local number, 517-483-4893. His email is craig.stiles@ampf.com. Offices are located 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823. Stations that have carried us in the past and are carrying us still, of course, the Michigan Talk Network is our primary driver for our syndication. Thanks to Stephen I.V. Gruber, WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven carried us first on broadcast radio. So I'll always mention them, always, because they're awesome. And Will Teeman and Wendy Hart are the bomb. WGIM 1240 AM in Lansing is the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network. WJRW 1340 in Grand Rapids carried us for a long time. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon Whitehall. Stations all over the place. We're just giving you a snapshot, everybody. WYPV FM 94.5 way up north in Mackinac City, just north of where Doug Resseguie's talking about all his hunting adventures. And of course, we've got our flagship station out there at Michigan State University, WKAR, AM 870 and News Talk, East Lansing, Michigan, and simulcast 102.3 FM in East Lansing, carrying us on Sundays at 5. Thank you again to Craig Stiles for creating Desideri Analytics, where we are making light of weighted decisions. All right, back to my brother from another mother, Doug Resseguie, Hunter non-hunter, sharing outdoor traditions. Doug asked me the question at the end of the first segment about, my apprehension. I gave you the quick snapshot. Doug, I gave you the snapshot. You've heard me say this a million times. You don't want my whining butt out there with you messing things up. Now, I like which child it was saying they want to go and sit and have the social and, maybe have some food and play some cards. I like all that. So I'm a huge social guy. You know that. So I'd be down with it. And of course I'm joking because I know you're going to come back. I got all the clothes. I got all the stuff. I know you do. Go ahead, bro. Let's talk about this.
Actually, I didn't have a planned answer. I wanted to ask you. I mean, I knew what I thought you were going to say, but what is your first memory of not liking cold and frustrating stuff?
That's a very good question there, host Doug Resseguie. Well, my very first and only, there was a couple of situations, but the very first one was when my dad took us duck hunting out and we were in Saginaw Bay up by our old cottage at White's Beach between Pinconning and Standish, Michigan. People who, Midwest, they might know where this is. And we stood in the water and froze our butts off in the dark and then the light. And the craziest thing is we didn't see one duck. And if we would have seen a duck, I'm not sure how we would have got the duck because we were standing like at the point in this water out. It's like we didn't even have a dog. So it's like, well, I still to this day wonder what in the heck my dad was thinking. Was he just taking us out there to torture us? And then there was one other time, Doug, where we went smelt dipping. And I know that's fishing, people know it's, and we didn't get diddly crap. I mean, you're standing as cold, as dark. And I mean, so those are my two very vivid memories from being a kid. How's that? Is that good for you?
That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. And you know what? You still remember them.
Absolutely.
But you remember the not good experience. And so the first thing I'm going to say is and we're going to talk a little bit more about coaching and mentoring and taking others. If you are working with somebody who's learning, or if you're taking your child out or you're taking your spouse or someone, listen to them. And if it's not fun anymore or they're not well equipped, don't make them stay, because you will form a negative thing, a negative response that they will probably not feel like that's a positive experience. So the first thing is understanding that framework. How do we transfer skills? How do we build experiences? I talk very fondly about a lot of things I've experienced. I've had a lot of fun, but I've also had really good coaches. And it's okay to be a little chilly. It's okay to be at a football game where maybe you didn't bring that blanket you wanted to sit on and your butt's a little cold, but it's not where you want to stay the whole time. If you're frozen and you're at the edge of hypothermia, you're not going to want to do that again, or you're going to have to change. So, thanks for sharing those examples. I know that's really personal for you. The other thing I want to pivot, which is not in the notes I sent you, but right now I advocate and I talk strongly about the program Becoming an Outdoors Woman. Now, that's just one group. There's a lot of other groups, but Becoming an Outdoors Woman has been really well supported. The Michigan DNR has a website, michigan.gov/DNR/education/public/BOW, Becoming an Outdoor Woman, but you can just search Becoming an Outdoor Woman on Google. They provide a great number of workshops all year round. They have even a scholarship fund. There's a scholarship you can apply for if you can't afford to do some of the trainings, because not just women, but anybody. But I mean, they just provide resources for that. But I just wanted to call out, they have a couple of things that I thought was really interesting. And I'm not going to list all their activities, but a couple of the ones, because I was going through their fall workshops that they have, the classes and what they're listed as, and they'll talk about the type, are they require physical exertion? Are they moderate? Are they strenuous? How do you do them? But one of the things they had was birding, like people who like to watch birds. That's an interesting area. They have hunting. They have things to go with learning to use different types of firearms and those types of things. But there's also things like introduction to fishing, reading the autumn forest, outdoor photography, wilderness first aid, also something good you should have if you're in the outdoors. And there's a lot of other things, mountain biking, geocaching, wilderness survival, all kinds of cool topics. And those are topics that they don't have to just be for women. They could be for youth. They could be for other people. But what we realize sometimes is that, and it's becoming less of a factor, but if you grew up, and I'm going to go back baby boomer. If you went back farther in baby boomers, a lot of baby boomers, whether they did want to or didn't want to, ended up in the military because there were things going on in the world. And if you were in the military, you received everything from map reading to some basic training to do certain things. That commonality has been something that may not, and hopefully we won't have a world where we need those things, but that may not be handed off. So people just need to think about, where do they get their skills from and how do we transition them? But these are great workshops, and I love that program, and I wanted to call them out for that. But I want to turn it over to you, because I want to see what else you have to think of. And have you ever talked about that? I know you've heard about that program.
Oh, I've heard about all of these things, and it's good to get that refreshed, and we'll put all those in the show notes, and I'm going to carry this through because we're going to go to break here. Let me reset everything, everybody. Doug Resseguie is here, sharing outdoor traditions, giving us all kinds of tips like he always does with the outdoors life, including balance, how to encourage more people to participate. That's a biggie. Sharing outdoor traditions. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 2 sponsor, Craig Stiles of Ameriprise Financial. For more information on services provided by Craig, please visit ameripriseadvisors.com/Craig.Stiles or by calling 517-483-4893. You're tuned in to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Third segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by White Law. White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. Jamie White, Kingpin. White Law is your advocate in times of need. They are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Always. I've had people call me, want some tips on, they know that Jamie's one of our sponsors, and our sponsors are very important to us. They keep this show rolling. And they just say, hey, I need to get some advice. And so I'll make a reach out call to Jamie. He gets right back to me, and away we go with all that. You can contact them today for your free consultation. I like saying the word free because that's important to understand. Visit whitelawpllc.com. Great website. Or call them at 517-777-9785. They are the sponsors of the Mad Dog Minutes, which we produce 3 times a week. And so all of it, they're very close with everybody over there. So again, whitelawpllc.com is their website. Their phone number again is 517-777-9785. Great to have these good sponsors, people that we can trust. And if you're hearing my voice speak of these people, then we have qualified them and they have been cleared and they are vetted. Go for it. You're going to get good service. All right, back to today's episode. Doug Resseguie is my guest today, my brother from another mother, sharing outdoor traditions. Well, Doug had a good question about, what's up, what's holding Tom back? And he knows what's holding me back, but he had that, he had a good strategy with that. And that's, and your strategy, Doug, was very, very apropos. I mean, good coaching for outdoors is important if you're going to take people and you're going to introduce people to new things. You don't want to make them miserable right from the get-go. It'd be like me taking someone to a football game in November at Michigan State and it's snowing and it's cold and you don't have a jacket. It's like, it's the same thing. So you have to be prepared for these things. And the last thing I wrote down in my notes here, Doug, is where we get skills. So we're going to move through this because we got a lot of material to cover. But you've got these evolving roles and skills, and now you've kind of crossed that bridge a little bit about getting some new people out there. So let's dive into that part of your notes here, evolving roles and skills. Go ahead, bro.
Well, I'm going to use your example. If they're let's say they're a Spartan fan, because that's awesome, and they're used to going to basketball games, they might address the way they show up for a basketball game, but because the venue changed, the equipment needed to change. They're not sitting inside the heated Breslin, they're sitting outside at Spartan Stadium, and as you mentioned, the weather's very different. So the first thing is people need to understand and gauge what do they know, what level do they know, and are they informed on the type of activity you're going to participate in. Even taking a long bike ride, going out on some of these walking trails. If you're on the river trail and the weather's nice and you know where you're going, are you prepared? Do you have a water bottle, etc.? So part of it is really understanding where they're at with the skill set. So ask them hey, best way to get people to participate in activities, hey, I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go for a bike ride, or I'm going to do this. You want to join me? That's a great relationship builder. It's a good way to spend time with people, especially if you're looking to break the ice with family members, especially if you're feeling a different stage of life where you're disconnecting. But ask people to participate and then understand, are they getting introduced to the activity for the first time? If they are, coach them up and mentor them. Hey, you probably want to think about this, or we need to take that. You might, oftentimes I will pack my backpack with what they're going to need, even if they don't take it. So when they do say, oh, I forgot that, I'll be like, I've got an extra one. And I don't make them feel bad about that. Just put it in your backpack. You know what they need. If there's a water bottle need, then take 2. If there's a little bit of a blanket, then put an extra one in there, because you know what you anticipate you're going to need. And the other thing is really not making people feel uncomfortable while you're doing it. So you want to gauge their level of knowledge. Are they introduction, basic, intermediate, and then the big thing is how you influence. If you're coaching or mentoring, a lot of people don't want to be wrong. I know people that will be in the cold. You can see them shivering and they don't want to ask for something. So really be coachable or be a good mentor in the fact, like I said, I pack extra gear because I know people might forget something. And then I sometimes will take it out and set it down and say, hey, I've got our 2 blankets that we're going to need. I will not ask if I know that it's awkward, because I don't want to make them feel awkward. Like, well, I don't want to use yours. No, I brought one for you. Then it makes it feel like they didn't know what they were doing. So sometimes I'm just like, hey, this activity needed 2 of these and I brought them so that we had what we need. That's a very different introduction. So, be a little mindful about how you talk to someone. Some people will be very welcoming of questions. Other times, just spend time with them. If they're not asking a lot, just let them kind of be with that experience, because what happens is you are really taking in information. Your eyes are looking at things, you're hearing things. And so the big thing is it's partly your personal growth, how you go through that. And those are life skills you can use in other areas of your life too. They don't have to just be for this segment of the show, but it's really transitioning. Our roles in life continue to change as we grow older, or as I say, sometimes leveling up your character. You make mistakes, you learn from those mistakes, and you grow. How you share those experiences with other people will have an immediate and long-term effect. you and I both worked in the skilled trades. I disagree with the idea that I need to make somebody hit their thumb with a hammer. I'll just tell them, don't do that. It'll hurt. Now, if they do it, they'll be like, you told me that was going to hurt. But I'm not going to wait and not tell you so you do. And then I go, well, of course it's going to hurt. I don't want them to have that negative experience because it might stop them from working in that trade. And that might have been something they were amazing at. So I'm really an enabler and transformation of process. I want people to have a good experience. So the speed that you learn skills and that you adapt to things is greatly or can be greatly influenced by others. And my personal antidote for you is that my dad was not really a big hunting, fishing person. My brother and I read every Field and Stream magazine, every outdoor life issue. We read it all. We went out to try to learn how to do it. And most of the time we didn't do it right because we didn't know. So we made a lot of mistakes. That's probably why when people ask me questions today, like, hey, how do you tie that fishing knot? I'm like, don't do that one. The line's going to break. Oh, well, why? It says so in the book. I'm like, the book is somewhat right, but in how you're using it, it's going to break. And so you don't want them to have that loss of a $5 or $10 piece of equipment that they didn't need to lose. So it's just learning, but I've made a lot of mistakes and I laugh at them now. They were very frustrating at times and nobody likes to have mistakes and or bad experiences, but that's why I'm so passionate about sharing ideas with people. So if your dad might have done some things differently, he probably had a great time or he just did what he was used to doing. I don't know what his level of skill was. He may have been introductory or he may have gotten one phase in front of you. He may have been a beginning duck hunter. It sounds like he didn't think a few things out and he had taken you with him to experience it. And you guys kind of walked away with like, we need a dog or a skiff so we can get out there and get the stuff. And like, there's some other stuff we want to do here.
Well, and I applaud the effort. And you're absolutely right. Doug Resseguie is our guest today, everybody. We're talking sharing outdoor traditions because Doug is our subject matter expert when it comes to hunter, non-hunter. Yeah, I believe that my dad definitely had the good intentions. He was a great coach in a lot of aspects. He was a great coach in many team sport things. But when it came to that, I think he just wanted us to experience something with him. To finish the story about the smelt dipping, okay, smelt dipping, everybody, you have these big, and this only happens at certain times of the year, and Doug, you would know this better than I do, but in going back to my memory, you have these giant, like, handheld nets, and you scoop up and you swoop through the water.
You're probably at Singing Bridge.
Exactly. That's where we were, actually. You're right. You were exactly right there. And so typically, when they're running, when the fish are coming on shore, you're scooping them up and there's millions of them. And so we didn't get diddly at that point. They weren't running, but what wound up happening was we hit a spot, a stand, like a roadside stand that was selling smelt. And he bought, I don't even know. I'm going to guess and say it was like 20 pounds. I mean, it was so many little fish. I just got sick. Because you got to cut the little heads off of them. You got to clean them. I mean, so that added to the frustration of the whole endeavor, but it's still in my head some 50 plus years later. Sharing outdoor traditions. That's what we're doing here. Hunter, non-hunter. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 3 sponsor, White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. Visit us at whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Doug Resseguie, sharing outdoor traditions. We like doing the outdoor shows, the hunter, non-hunter, especially on the Michigan Talk Network, because it carries well. And Brock Fletcher is the kind of guy who's an outdoorsman too. He has a place up in Mackinac City, so he understands all of this. Call Brock today. He understands what we're doing here. He understands everything about real estate. He is your guy. He is our guy. Full disclosure, we utilize all of their services with Big House Holt, Little House Lansing, where we're recording this episode. Reality of Real Estate, there's like 20 episodes on our website. Check those out if you got questions about buying a home, selling a home, positioning yourself for upsizing, downsizing, whatever, just like what we did. KWSellingTeam.com is their website. Again, you can hit all of our sponsors and friends at our website, the homepage, bottom of the homepage. Click on the banners down there. It's really simple to navigate. Sell your home without hassles with somebody you can trust. Again, phone numbers 517-853-6408 is the office. But here's the big one. This is the number you want to keep. So I'm going to say it twice. 517-303-3262. 517-303-3262, or go online to kwsellingteam.com. Again, selling your home without hassles is the way you want this. Selling a home is stressful enough. Buying a home is stressful enough. And then getting scooped or putting a bid in or don't having like he's explained to us many times on an escalation clause or all these different strategies and tactics. These things are really important to understand. And this is the guy you want to go to. Just like we're doing today with Doug Resseguie, talking about sharing outdoor traditions. Brock Fletcher's the guy, and Mike Dedman. Mikey, I didn't forget about you. Don't worry. Just saw Mike Dedman got like salesman of the month or something over there, and it doesn't surprise me whatsoever. He's our guy. Brock Fletcher is the guy. One more time, 517-303-3262. Text him, leave him a voicemail. He will, I promise you, he will get back to you. If you want to just get a hold of me and send me a note, feel free, go to our website, TomMattShow.com, and send us a note on the contact box. Okay, back to Doug Resseguie sharing outdoor adventures. All right, bro. During break, you had a quick anecdotal talking point that I just want you to kind of share with the listeners because, you know, me, I'm a complete know-nothing when it comes to this stuff, and I'm being honest here. I mean, because we bought the fish.
I don't know if it was a cool story, but I just said that
I thought it was cool.
in all the years that I have been doing outdoor activities, I know people who take time off work to go do things away from their family. And I have had people stop me on the river when I have a bunch of steelhead or, I've got fish or something, and ask, can I take a picture with your fish? Because I didn't catch any today. And if I don't show my wife something, like it's going to be hard to justify spending money to go do this. And I really had a great time. And so, one, I want to get people, I want to teach them or show them something, how they can have that success. But two, I know people have stopped and bought steelhead or bought smelt or whatever from the grocery store so that they could come home and share that with their family. And, part of that, I think, is they also everybody wants to have a sense of success. And so, how do we set people up to have better outcomes? But to your dad's point, I thought he bought already cooked smelt for you. I don't know why he would have bought them so you had to clean them and process them. And he's teaching you the full experience.
That's just the way he rolled. And so that was all good. I mean, so yep. I got questions here. You got tradition and progress. You want to cover those points, and I'm going to throw you some questions here, or what do you want to do here, man?
Well, I wanted to talk about tradition with progress for a reason. Tradition with progress is a concept, philosophy. We want to hold our traditions. We want to hold them closely because they're valuable. They're something that we have a great affection for. But at the same time, we need to think about how to make them pass forward and have sustainability. Today, like my children will occasionally watch a TV show and they'll be watching it like, can you believe all those people smoking? They're smoking around children. I'm like, well, that particular show was filmed at a time when that was culturally the norm. And so, they're just different things. So you want to think about, is something that you're holding on to going to prevent it from being passed forward? Or is there a better way to do it? I mean, telling you to wear a certain type of fabric today, there's super amazing fabrics we've come up with that are waterproof and very windproof. I have a jacket I just got that I'm going to be testing, which I'll give a later review on it, but it is lighter than anything I carry, and it's so warm I don't want to wear it unless it's really cold. So really interesting fabrics. I mean, things like Omni Heat have been around for a while, but how do you make fabrics that are breathable, that don't let you sweat, but also keep your heat at your core? So really cool stuff. So the point with tradition with progress is just sometimes we want to hold on to it, but think about how do we share it with groups? How do we include others, and that outreach, not just in the people that we're used to doing it with, but how do we invite others to that group? one of the things we know, outdoor activities, because of COVID and the global pandemic, people wanted to go outdoors because it was one of the places that they could go outside and have a sense of a little bit of freedom when we were in lockdown. So the outdoor industry grew enormously. What I am not sure of is when you look at group dynamics, and I'll just use hunting for example. Hunting is hunting as a sport is somewhat in a state of decline, partly because of the aging population of people who used to do it. There's a lot more urbanization, meaning a lot less areas are available. Time constraints from lifestyle, environmental concerns with habitat or conservation, access barriers, equipment or land access. But the real one that sticks out is the last bullet point, which is lack of mentorship or education. Fewer mentors that are mentoring other generations means you're naturally in a state of decline. And so, there's groups out there that I know that go out and walk for lunch. There's people that are playing disc golf now. There's people that are doing activities they didn't do before. You want to keep doing them. But the way that you do it is to get new members and get people involved and then have value. And one of the things that what I really appreciate with the Michigan Steelheaders Association is that they always talk about doing a riverside cleanup, pick up fish line, leave the environment better. So, just like you see roadside groups that go out, walk the road and clean because it's a different group takes ownership. But the people that walk on that road, they did it for a reason, and they probably are less likely to throw stuff out or make sure if they put it in the back of their truck, it doesn't blow out because sometimes it's accidental. But, so that's really what I wanted to say. Tradition with progress. We want to balance that innovation and outreach.
I want to comment on that because what you said about examples and innovation, the thought that I had in my head was, okay, so you go, for example, when you're a kid and you go sledding and you've got heavier clothes or wool clothes or whatever, the progress that we have made in just the apparel. And like Doug knows, I've said, I'm not a real cold fan, but the apparel and the boots and the gloves have gotten so much better. Yeah, they're a little bit pricey sometimes, but I tell you, Doug, I think it's worth the money when you invest in like good boots or a nice jacket. It's worth that. What's your quick answer on that, on the investment of potential new innovative clothing designs and boots, stuff like that?
The clothing is absolutely innovative, and the clothing is absolutely, if you have the money to buy the top brands, it's available. But you hit me right in the chest with one of my other things, which is there's clothing banks and there are places out there that need you to be donating these things to other people, because single parents that are working, trying to keep a job going, are going to be looking for a value purchase, and that value may be made of lesser grade products. There's backpack drives. There's all kinds of things out there that help at community levels. And so the other places, don't forget thrift shops and other places like that, because you can oftentimes go to Goodwill, St. Vincent de Paul or VOA, any of those places, and find stuff that other people have said, I've lightly used it, or I'm done with it, or maybe we don't use it anymore because this person moved or is passed on. Then you can get those products at a very affordable price. So it's important. They are out there, but if you're a great mentor, get the stuff that somebody needs, even if you have to buy it for them so they have a good experience.
That's Doug Resseguie we're listening to, sharing outdoor traditions, as I wrap this thing up and put a little bow on it. Here's the thing about going to thrift stores. Sandy and I are big time thrift store people. We like to support, not only are the causes worthwhile, but some of the clothing that we found, lots and lots of clothing that we found, is really nice stuff. And so people will diminish the value of going to a thrift store. In this situation, in any situation really, it's well worth it. And the coat drives, absolutely spot on. So I love that Doug brought that up. So keep that in mind. We'll be back in just a few moments, everybody. Doug Resseguie's here, sharing outdoor traditions. We got a lot more material to cover. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 4 sponsor, Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show here, everybody. Trying to get my cursor in the right spot so I can record some things. Technology is crazy sometimes. I'm talking to myself and I'm looking at my screen here and we got to do some balancing. But let me give you a tip here. Just like we're doing the sharing outdoor traditions, if you're getting into new things, trying new things, even if you're doing old things like I've done, you just got to learn to be patient with this because I make mistakes with my tech all the time and I don't even let it bother me anymore. It's just like, okay, just regroup, move on. These kinds of things happen. Just like we're just talking about with the schmelt dipping with Doug and and going duck hunting when we didn't see a duck for like forever. It's just one of those things you have to get through it. So remember, TomMattShow.com is where you go to get a hold of us. Please check that out. You got a comment, you want a guest, you want a topic, send us a note. It's all there. Please go right there. Doug, how would you like people to get a hold of you, connecting with you? What's the easiest way?
I would say your program, Tom. You can find me on the internet. I've said this before on other shows. I have a pretty public-facing program if you search for me in hunting, fishing, karate, or any of the things I do. But this spot has a permanent space, so I'm going to go back to you, sir. You have a link, and you can easily connect to me if somebody has a question, and I'll answer or post it on your website for everybody.
We'll put it up there for everybody, and that's how it rolls with the YouTube, and the website's very, very easy to navigate. So have fun with that. And yes, we will post all of Doug's points up on the recap. All right, here's some questions for you, man. And we've talked about this a little bit more, and you've been alluding to this with me, is how we encourage more people to participate in outdoor activities. Give everybody a little snapshot, Doug. You don't have to have the exact stats or anything, but where is outdoor activities? What is the number of people that are actually participating? Because you've already named a variety of different things that people can do for outdoor activities. It doesn't have to be just hunting and fishing and gathering, but go ahead. How do we encourage people to be more in line and conducive to thinking about this?
Well, so that's it seemed like a little question, but it's a really big question. So the first thing is, I'm not going to spout a specific number. We've used them in the past, but the outdoor industry, you can search, they do a report on all outdoor activities, and that the outdoor industry has major partners like REI and all the major equipment companies, the sporting goods companies that sell things. They all report in so they can kind of keep track. Is kayaking up? Is mountain biking up? What we've seen is that just in general, this current generation has different interests than the former generations, and that's not good or bad. It's just showing that certain activities are peaking a little more. We've noticed that a lot of bike riding, even bike riding with the fat tires and winter biking, is something that's a lot newer. I think it's overtaking cross-country skiing a little bit. It used to be cross-country skiing was a major winter activity. We're seeing more and more people riding bikes. And I think part of that's influenced by e-bikes because there's still some controversy of whether e-bikes should be considered a regular bike for biking trails. And some states are kind of contesting that. But I think anything that gets people outdoors and gets them in nature and lets them experience that is positive. So I'm not taking a stance, but I know there are people who have health things, and if they've always been a bike person and their health is giving them a challenge, I mean, my health is in a state of change every year. And so if there's some time when they can still participate in something they love just by getting some battery power, then let them do it.
I totally agree.
Part of it is really taking tech capabilities as well.
I totally agree with you on that one, Doug. I've seen those e-bikes out there, and it's like, you know what, if people are out, when we're on the river trail, Sandy and I are riding our bikes, if that's what is floating your boat, everybody, and they get you to breathe in some fresh air and getting some sunshine, good for you. Go for it. Doug, what are some of the challenges or barriers to outdoor participation in things that we haven't discussed yet? Because we have covered quite a bit of these little things that would appeal or not appeal to Tom.
Well, I think one of the challenges, depending on the type of activity, so I'm going to separate activities that have a high level of danger versus activities that don't. So if you're doing anything that involves like boating, water, like there's a picture of me fishing from shore behind me. I'm fly fishing. That's not as dangerous as being in a boat. And if somebody hasn't been properly trained to swim or they don't have the proper flotation equipment, so some parents or even adults. I have a person who I invite to fish all the time. They are very terrified of water, and I have to make sure that they have lots of things that they feel comfortable about for them to go on a boat with me because they have a great fear of water. I suspect they might have been taught to swim by getting thrown in a water by a parent, which I know people have done. I don't think it's healthy and I think it's very traumatic, but they have a bad experience with water, but they like to go out fishing, but they're just very cautious. So the first thing is make sure you have the protective equipment or safety measures in place and the education, especially if you're doing anything that has danger. Education is critical. I think education is important now, and there's more ways, especially if you're taking somebody younger or somebody unfamiliar. You probably can find a YouTube video that says, "Hey, what's it like to go do this activity?" It could be, "What do you need to go play disc golf?" And then you can watch. So if people are pretty comfortable with watching YouTube or media, if you can see a demo and kind of see what it looks like, they feel more comfortable. It's kind of like how people mystery shop if they want to buy something. They kind of look it up on the internet and then they might go get it in the store or they might just order it online. So use those technologies. A great thing I found really is an interesting bridge for people to see. Another version is I have a little drone that I have, and I've engaged younger people, just letting them fly the drone and look at nature from their computer screen or the phone. And then they're like, "That's pretty cool. I want to go look at that." It's like, "Okay, well, we can hike over there," because they'll sometimes see stuff. It's using the drone is kind of an interesting way, as me as a coach saying, you play video games, you have all the hand-eye coordination. Some of you are better at flying it than I am. But the point is, once they use it, they're like, "That was a really cool tree. I want to go see that." So use the technologies that are available and the tools that are available to encourage and spark a sense of a wonder, or get a sense of. That's what I always got from the Field and Stream magazines. Reading books or hearing a radio program made me imagine what it might be like, and then I wanted to go try it. So you want to encourage that part. You want to create that for those people, and you want to inform them as much as you can so that they have a good experience. The other thing I want to say is passion. There's a couple programs out there I don't want to go without mentioning. This time of year, a lot of people are hunting. Remember, there's wild game donation programs. I put the link in your text chat. Just put that in your show. If you are hunting and you don't have a big family, or you want to donate, you can donate to the meat processors that are processing that, and then we'll put it in the food banks for the local communities. You can also make a financial donation to those programs, because those butchers and those meat processing facilities are donating their time and efforts at a great discount to help with a passion, saying, "If you bring us an animal, we'll process it and make people food." So, you can even do that if you don't want to go out in the outdoors. That's one I don't want to go by us. There's a lot of programs, Hunters Against the Hungry, but they're all generally under wild game donation. And you can, just think about that. That is a really positive thing. And this generation tends to be more, what do I want to say? They're very concerned with what are we doing to the world. So helping others, helping make the world better, using materials or not doing things that are making eco problems, very resonating. So, it's really good. Maybe if you want to take somebody out and do a project with them, like, "Hey, let's go pick up some trash from along the lakeside and remove obstacles that a duck could get their neck stuck in something, or that a turtle could get hurt." That might be their passion to start experiencing nature more, because they have a passion to want to do something that has an impact. So that would be the other part. It's not just entertainment. It's they're passionate about the world, and that's why we're bound to the outdoor part of the world. But sometimes we're indoors, so it's connecting the two so people can have that wonder and experience that. And so that's my thoughts.
So that's Doug Resseguie talking here, and I got to get his takeaway, because today we're sharing outdoor traditions. We got about a minute and a half to go, Doug. What would your takeaway be? Great topic today, as usual, your 12th visit to the radio program. I appreciate your time very much. What would you like to leave the listeners with on your 12th visit?
I would leave with this. When I was 14 years old, I went from Michigan to the center of the Rocky Mountains, and the wonder of just standing there looking at the Eisenhower Tunnel and the mountains were beyond words. I have memories then that I still can't put fully into words, looking at snow-capped mountains. It just moves you in ways that there's no words for. So get people outdoors, let them see the northern lights, let them watch the stars at night, breathe fresh air, watch the fall colors, go to an orchard, go up to, go north to St. John, or go to, John Cider Mill, go to some of those places and just do something outdoors. And that will make memories that will start to foster a long-term relationship that will make them have a curiosity for nature and the world we live in, that will make the world a better place.
That is Doug Resseguie. He is an avid outdoorsman who loves hunting, sharing the stories, fishing, camping, and just basically being outdoors, however he can. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Organizational Development, an MBA in Strategic Leadership, and as I said in the beginning of the show, he is about to complete his PhD very soon in Organizational Leadership, which we are all very, very proud of him. He's married and father of 5 children, a grandfather, and he's one of my best friends, and I love having you on the show. Doug, you're the bomb. Love you so much. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guest topics, issues. Please let us know. Thanks again to Doug Resseguie. Doug, thanks for being with us. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. We will talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Lastly, I want to say thank you to our production staff, Mitch Anderson, and my production assistant, Vanessa. Thank you so much for everything you do. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Ark of All.